My name is Katharine.Fishman. I write nonfiction, and I'm a member of Penn's Freedom to Write Committee. This is by Liao Yiwu. It's called My Teacher, My Enemy, translated by Wen Huang. Liao Yiwu is a poet, novelist, and screenwriter. In 1989, he published Massacre, an epic poem condemning the killings in Tiananmen Square, for which he subsequently spent 4 years in prison. Since then, he has written about the lives of those who are being left behind in China's economic boom, work that has made him one of China's most acclaimed writers internationally and one of its most censored at home. A collection of his portraits entitled Voices from the Bottom Up was published in the mainland in 2001, but Chinese authorities ordered all copies to be removed from stores and destroyed. The book was published in the United States under the title The Corpse Walker, Real Life Stories, China from the Bottom Up. Liao recently attempted to attend the 2009 Frankfurt Book Fair, but his trip was prevented by the Chinese authorities. My birthday falls on June 16th, which on the Chinese lunar calendar is an auspicious date. It was the date when Guanyin, the bodhisattva who possessed the power to relieve the masses of their sufferings, became enlightened. Things didn't quite turn out to be auspicious for me. I entered the world in the middle of a terrible famine, which was to claim the lives of millions nationwide between 1959 and 1962. My father would tell me how, at the age of 1, my little body became swollen from lack of nutrition. I didn't even have enough strength to cry. An herbal doctor in Niushirkou, near the city of Chengdu, recommended that my parents hold me over a wok filled with boiling herbal water every morning and every evening. The steam eventually drained yellow liquid drop by drop from my body. Thanks to the doctor, I survived. Hunger was my first teacher in life, following me during my entire childhood. Hunger stunted my growth, hampering my cognitive development. I was a slow kid. At the age of 5, I still had problems walking. Many years later, the influence of hunger could still be felt all over in Testimonial, my memoir of life in prison. In this pigsty of a country, one has to have an iron stomach to be a prison eyewitness who savors the body odor from his fellow inmates and chews on the rotten, fermented memories through teeth, blood, and broken bones. The Cultural Revolution started when I was attending elementary school. My father, a high school teacher, was branded a counter-revolutionary scholar. Following his criminal conviction, my family fell apart. My mother took custody of me and my sister. We left our hometown, Yanting, and moved from place to place, undergoing countless random searches and interrogations for what the authorities called migrating to the city without a residential permit. When I was 9, my mother was accused of being an escaped landowner and living in the city without a permit. Members of the Public Security Bureau took her away one night for detention and interrogation. Since then, this special Chinese terminology, heiren heihu, or person and family without a residential permit, has been engraved forever on my mind, becoming my second teacher in life. My third teacher is homelessness. I used to drift intermittently between the cities of Chengdu and Yanting. I would snatch free rides by chasing and climbing running trains, eating at others' expense, working as a child laborer, fabricating travel documents, trekking for days on circuitous mountain paths, and lodging in the huts of my poor relatives in the rural areas. Fortunately, I never begged or stole, but I never had the opportunity to receive a solid education. Upon recommendation from the local Writers Association, the authorities waived my miserable test scores and admitted me to a writer's class at Wuhan University. However, bad habits and the unruly nomadic lifestyle to which I had become accustomed in my earlier years didn't serve me well, and I ended up getting expelled. In 1989, when the killing took place in Tiananmen Square, I composed the epic poem Massacre. I screamed in protest against my permanent homeless status and was arrested and tortured by the police. When I hunched over beside a toilet bowl in my prison cell, trying to catch fleas in my undershirt, when I was handcuffed with hands behind my back for 23 days, when I twice attempted suicide, only to be derided by fellow inmates, when I was locked up with generations of counter-revolutionaries and saw how they were buried alive in the dark cells of prison, when I was convicted for the crime of composing poems without the opportunity to defend myself, my deep love for this land did, in the words of the patriotic poet A. Ching, make my soul cry. I guess I love this land to the point of dizziness. Thanks to prison, I have completed the initial 2 of 5 volumes of Continue to Live, my autobiographical novel. Thanks to prison, I have learned to play the flute, employing its music to call on the spirits of the ancient masters and console myself with philosophy. Thanks to prison, I had the opportunity to live in close quarters with murderers, counter-revolutionaries, human traffickers, peasant emperors, robbers, and swindlers. Prison is my final teacher. Despite the fact that I was let out many years ago, I'm still stuck in an invisible prison. Escaping from prison is a constant theme in my dreams. When I wake up, my legs spasm terribly. In my dream, I scream, I don't want to be Chinese. I have no alternative but to sleep on this bed called China. I'm grateful to hunger, my first teacher. Today, I no longer face the threat of starvation, but my sense of starving for freedom is stronger than my physical craving for food. I want to thank my second teacher, a person without a residential permit, because I have been such a person for more than 20 years. My temporary residential card has been checked, and my apartment has been searched countless times. I have turned the sense of helplessness and humiliation into fodder for my writing. I have learned to identify with those living at the bottom of society. My third teacher is homelessness. Thanks to you, I have not been able to live under a permanent roof for many years. I wear the same clothes for months. My socks and shoes stink. I still hang out with younger street people, and the situation is hopeless. But this is my life, much better than the lives of those landlords whom I trekked hundreds of miles of mountainous paths to visit and interview. Those landlords had never left their villages, and they still couldn't escape the fate of being tortured and then slaughtered like pigs. I want to thank my fourth teacher, prison. After spending half of my life reforming myself, I have met the authorities' requirements. I have become what the party calls a new person with high morals, well-developed mental capability, and healthy physique. To repay this kindness to our government, I have interviewed more than 300 victims of persecution under this system. I have written millions of words in the past decade in order to record their stories. Because of my works, I have been given the 2007 Freedom to Write Award. I can't help crying because I feel very satisfied. Thank you.